So yeah, sorry for the delay. So I was with another meeting, so I just finished and like joined this meeting.
That's fine, no problem.
Yeah. So before we start the demo, so I just want to give a brief on Boomi, what exactly the tool is and what kind of work that we can do. Okay. So let's say like in PI, however you're doing integration from SAP different modules like SAP HR to other modules or like finance modules, FICO, whatever the module is or whatever the system is, you're able to transfer the data from one module to another module. Similarly, Boomi is a middleware, and likewise, if you want to migrate from the data from one system to another system, obviously the old system you will not decommission at the same point, right? Obviously, you have to maintain for some time. So whatever the mail that I send, like it has to be available in both the systems. 2007 to 2009, when you migrate, it is not one day job. Obviously, the data has to be available in both the systems for at least for some time. So obviously, to sync both the systems, obviously you need like a middleware where it will transfer the data from one system to another system. Okay. So sometimes, Microsoft, you have a lot of tools where you can migrate directly. But let's say there are a lot of systems in the market like Salesforce, NetSuite, Workday, SuccessFactors. So all these systems, they don't have any tools to migrate the data from like one system to another system. Okay. So obviously that is where you need to like write some code, Java code. Like earlier days, we used to write Java code, PHP, .NET to integrate multiple systems. But nowadays, like we have a lot of middleware tools like Boomi, MuleSoft, Informatica Cloud. So using these tools, you can integrate multiple systems. Okay. So let's say so I'll give you like a 3-4 use cases. Okay. The first use case, let's say you have some database that you're using for a typical application, legacy application, like Oracle you are using today. And customer thought that he's like, it's costing more with Oracle. So he wants to migrate to SQL Server. Okay. So using Boomi, what you can do, like you can create a job where it will pull the data out from Oracle and send it to SQL Server. Okay. So this is where you don't need to write any SQL job for that. And so let's say one more use case here with database. Let's say he cannot decommission the Oracle database on the spot. Okay. So he has to maintain that system at least 1 year down the line. So then he'll understand what is the business challenge. Let's say SQL Server is capable enough to do some things. And Oracle system, Oracle database is capable enough to do some things. Okay, so obviously when you migrate, obviously you on first day itself you may not face a lot of challenges. Okay, going forward when you're working with the system, obviously you'll face some challenges where you need to understand and transfer the data in a proper way. Let's say in Oracle, so I can save date as empty, null dates I can save. But in SQL Server, you cannot save null dates. Okay, in date column, you cannot send a null value. So obviously on the first day, you may not face any challenge. Okay, going forward, like the queries what you have written, the applications, whatever it is working, obviously it will impact slowly. So whenever you use those columns, use that functionality, particular functionality, it will impact. So till the time the data has to be available, like every day you have to migrate the data from one system to another system, and people like business team will do some unit testing or UAT testing. So till the time you have to migrate the data on a regular basis. Today you have 10 records created in Oracle, so 10 record has to be transferred by the end of the day. So obviously you need some middleware without writing any code. Okay, so that is where Boomi will come into the picture, and that is where you can create some integration and Boomi and schedule a job every day, evening at 6 o'clock. It has to pull the data out from Oracle and send it to SQL Server. So other use case, let's say nowadays you can see so many mobile apps like Flipkart or Amazon. Okay, so and at the same time you have a website, Flipkart website as well. The data is coming from the same system, like whatever the let's say I want to buy a laptop. Whenever I search the laptop model in mobile or website, it will pull the same results, right? So obviously how it is working in backend. Okay, so using let's say I cannot write like copies of code, one for mobile, one for website and all, right? So obviously how it is hitting the same service in the backend, and how you can pull the same results out. Okay, so in that cases also Boomi can be a part of middleware. So what happens, like rather writing a lot of PHP code or Java code, .NET code as a middleware, so you can implement Boomi as a middleware. So whatever the Flipkart, like when you are searching something for a particular laptop model, the request will go to Boomi, and Boomi will send that request to backend web service, and whatever the response it is giving in the backend web service, Boomi can transfer back to mobile app. So that's how like you can use Boomi as a middleware without writing any code. So this is how it works as a middleware. It's a high-level tool. So earlier days, we used to use ETL tools like Informatica or Data Stage, Ab Initio. So all these tools typically called as ETL. Okay, ETL tools. It will transfer the data from database to database or file to database, database to file. That's the only things that it used to do. But using Boomi, it is like on top of ETL. We call it as enterprise application integration. Okay. So let me start. So these are the two typical use cases. Apart from the you can, let's say my customer has using Antipro or SAP HR system. He wants to migrate the HR system to SuccessFactors. He wants to transfer the data from SAP HR to SuccessFactors. At the time, obviously, we have to have a middleware which can transfer the data without writing any code. Okay, and the another use case. Let's say like I am joining a company, so which is very big company, and they are using SuccessFactors as a like the HRMS system. So whenever a employee joins in any company, obviously they'll enter the details in SuccessFactors systems. Okay. At the same time, the data like employee data has to be available in a CRM system or like time like access machine. Like you'll get an access card, and wherever you want to get in for the first time. So it could able to fetch your data from SuccessFactors and store. Okay, so how that integration is working between the systems. Okay, so companies will have payroll systems. It has like a SharePoint. It has AD. So obviously it is integrating on real time, right? So SuccessFactors, but HR team will enter the data in only one system, but all other systems have the data at the same time. So obviously it is a real-time integration using some middleware. Okay. So it may be with a tool or it may be with a Java code or PHP code or .NET code. Okay, it doesn't matter. But using Boomi, what is the benefit that we are going to discuss now? Okay. Okay. So the very first thing, Boomi is a cloud tool. Okay. You no need to install any tool in your local machine to develop any integration. Okay. So whatever you want to develop, so you can do everything on website itself. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you want to integrate, whether you want to deploy, you want to schedule a job. So everything is everything you can do on website itself. Okay. So that is where it is a cloud-based integration platform. So we call it as integration platform as a service. Okay. Likewise, we have software as a service, like system as a service. So like Salesforce, NetSuite, or SuccessFactors. These are like Office 365. Again, it's a cloud main engine. So similarly, Boomi is a cloud integration platform. Okay. So what are the cloud advantages? So on-demand model delivery. So what is the advantage? Obviously, when you have so many users, so much of usage, obviously cloud systems is capable enough to scale up or scale down automatically. You don't need to have some person should monitor or upgrade the RAM every time or upgrade the storage every time. So you don't need to do all those things. Obviously, as it is on the cloud, so you can configure the backend systems. It will take care of everything. So that's the main advantage. Okay. And price per usage, whatever you're using, so you just need to pay for that. So earlier, for Microsoft Exchange and all, obviously you need to pay in bulk and you have to use. But coming to 365, you'll just use how many users, how many email IDs that you're creating, how many accounts that you're using. Based on that, you pay. So obviously that's how the cloud became. Even AWS, how much data you are transferring. So here in Boomi, so how many connectors, how many systems that you are connecting. Based on that, you need to pay them. Okay. And what are the key features of cloud interface? Okay. access from anywhere. You can access, like let's say if you write a Java code or PHP code, you cannot access from anywhere, right? You cannot access the code from mobile. So obviously using Boomi, if you develop any middleware integration, so obviously you can access from anywhere. It doesn't matter what kind of system it is. You can directly open that website and you can do like changes, or you can do monitoring, you can do scheduling, you can stop the schedules. Everything is capable, like you can do from any system. Okay, so many users can use at the same time. Okay, it is a single interface. Like, let's say, so I have written some Java code or PHP code to do the same job. Okay, so obviously I'll deploy in some server, but server so can like you can access like maximum of 2 to 4 users that can access like any server. Okay, if it's a Windows server or Linux server, we will have some limitations. But being in cloud, obviously you don't you will not have any like limitations how many users can access. Like Gmail, it is on the cloud. So our Office 365, it's on the cloud. So any number of users can hit and use the same resources. Okay, share the resources, it is same. So whatever the functionality, whatever the components that you have on Boomi, so any number of developers can use those components and develop their own integrations. Okay, dynamically scaling based on users and data. So it is like similarly scale up and scale down. So how many users hitting, how much data it is consuming. So based on that, the cloud will take care of scaling up the resources or scale down the resources. Okay, and billing and cost model, as I told you, like it is price per usage. Whatever you're using, you just need to pay. Okay, and apart from that, we have like some unique features where Boomi has like queuing mechanism or number of connectors. So you don't need to develop any connector. Let's say I want to connect today Salesforce and tomorrow some other CRM system. So you don't need to develop a connector in Boomi. So obviously connectors are available and with the zero code. Okay, you don't need to write any code. And the third step is like using web services. Okay, you are able to connect and even the real-time integration is also possible in Boomi. So with all these features, unique features, Boomi became top in the market from last 3 years, and it is a top integration tool, integration platform in Gartner report from last 3 years. Okay, so there are like other competitor tools like from SAP. There is a new tool called HCA, HANA Cloud Integration. Okay, the thing is like they just started. It is just 1 year. Obviously, it is not mature enough in the market. Like it did not see any challenges. But Boomi is there in the market from past 10 years. So obviously, like they fixed all the issues, and these are like a lot of business models, and they integrated a lot of systems, and they have a lot of connectors, about 43 odd connectors. So obviously, like with all these things, obviously, like it will take some time for other tools to compete Boomi. Okay. So we have SnapLogic, we have MuleSoft Cloud, we have like Informatica Cloud, and we have Jitterbit. So all these tools, there are some challenges with those tools. So with Boomi, like so they fixed all the issues from last 8 to 10 years. So that is what like it became top in the market. Okay. So any questions here? So like
Nothing in mind.
yeah. Okay. So what are the pretty? Yeah. Banu, tell me.
No, no doubt.
Okay, yeah. What are the prerequisites if you want to learn Boomi? So here is where like so you need to learn what is a web service. Okay. So how do you connect different systems? It is not just a database, or it is not just file based, right? So obviously Boomi is able to connect any system, any software, or any legacy application. It may be Java, it may be .NET, it may be some cloud application, it can be Facebook, it can be Gmail. So how you can connect? So that is where like web services will come into the picture. Okay, so obviously you may need to understand like what is a web service, what are the types that we have. So typically we have 2 types of web services. The first one is REST and the second one is like SOAP. Okay, using these 2 types of web services, Boomi could able to connect any third party or legacy system and like get us send the data. Okay, for any integration platform, obviously there are 2 ways of data communication, whether you can read the data or you can send the data. Okay, so obviously like so that is where like REST and SOAP. So whether you want to send the data using some REST service or read some data from using a SOAP service, so you can use anywhere. And very basics of Java. So sometimes you may need to write 2-3 lines of code where you will check like if and else conditions using Java or JavaScript. Okay, you can use any coding. Okay, so Java, and here we use like a Groovy script. It is on top of Java. It is equal to Java. Okay, Groovy and Java is completely equal, so you no need to worry, like, so both are different. Okay, so typically like Boomi supports Groovy scripting. Okay, so I'm just typing that language. Okay, so Boomi supports Groovy code, but it is equal to Java. You can write directly Java code. You can use Java libraries. You can write Java code. Okay, so obviously, like as per the standards, you have to avoid coding in Boomi. Okay, so you shouldn't write. So whatever the business logic or whatever the complex logic you want to build, so without code you can build in Boomi. So that is what like that is where like Boomi has been developed. Okay, so let me go back to Boomi screen first. So like let me show you a simple integration. Okay, so in Boomi, like typical integrations are called as processes. Okay, process. So each and every process will have a source and destination, and we'll have a mapping where you'll map the data from source to destination, and we'll have like some components. Okay, so that is where you'll learn how to develop an integration and all. Okay, this is what a typical integration. Okay, so my source is disk, so I am able to I should able to connect some disk location and get the data, and the destination is the target is disk again. So this is how like you develop any integration. It can be a complex one, it can be a simple one based on like customer requirements. Okay, so and in Boomi, like we'll have three phases. Okay, the first phase is build, where you develop your integration. The second phase where you deploy into different environments. Okay, so it can be a development environment, it can be UAT, it can be production or anything. So obviously, like in the classes, we'll like discuss about like how do you create environments. Let's say like in Java or any other technology, how do you set up servers? Okay, web servers. Similarly, like here we have environments. How do you set up environment? And the third one is manage. Okay, under manage we have two things again. So here if you see, like this is what the Boomi screen. Okay, complete Boomi screen. So the first tab is build, where you develop, and the deploy, where you deploy once you finish your development, and obviously you will deploy into some environment. So that is where deploy will come into the picture. And under manage we have two things: process report, which will show you all the logs. Okay, so this is kind of a dashboard. And atom management, this is where you manage the schedules. So if you want to schedule any job, so atom management is a screen where you see like where you can schedule a job, and that is where like you may manage all your atoms and environments. Okay, so these are the four screens that typically you need to learn. That's it. Okay. So apart from that, you don't have anything in Boomi. Like you don't need to even remember anything apart from these four screens. Okay. And apart from that, like we have about 20 odd components. Okay. So to develop any integration, like in Boomi, in Java, so however we have like a lot of functions. Okay, to develop any code. So here we have like about 20 components that you need to work. So you need to understand. So we call it as execute components and logical components. Okay, so 10 into execute and 10 into logical. So using these 20 components, you'll build any kind of integration. Okay, and as I told you, we have about 43 odd connectors as of now. And if you don't see any connector, so we have generic connectors called HTTP client and web service soap. So here, as I told you, like there are two types of web services. For REST, if customer is giving any REST service, you'll connect you'll connect using HTTP client connector in Boomi. And if customer is coming up with SOAP, so you'll have web service SOAP connector where you can connect any SOAP service. Okay, so this is how we need to learn. Okay, so let me explain you what are the different phases that we discuss in the class. Okay. So as Boomi is the integration platform, very first thing, how do you connect any third-party system? Okay, this is where Boomi will have connectors. Okay, so we will discuss about the connectors. Connectors, we have like about 43 odd connectors. We have generic connectors like 43 connectors, and apart from that, we have some generic connectors where if you don't have a connector, a particular connector, we use like HTTP client and web service soap. Using these two connectors, you can connect any third-party system. Now you're able to connect any third-party system. What do you want to do with the connector? That is where like the integration, like a business use cases will come into the picture, right? Now I have connected my database. Now what do you want to do with the connector? I want to read some data, or I want to send some data. Okay. So this is where connector operation will come into the picture. Okay. So this is what the steps typically when you go for a real-time project. There is the same questions that you may need to ask customer as well. Okay, he may come with a like a 100 pages of document, but like typically at the end of the like discussion, there is where you need to conclude. What are the connectors that you are going to connect? What are the systems that you are going to connect? Whether Boomi has a connector or not. If it doesn't have a connector, whether system like has a like service enabled or not, whether it may be a REST service, it may be a SOAP service. Okay, so those are the first things that you need to ask the customer. And the second thing, what is the operation that I am going to do? Okay, so it can be get or send. And so connector operation, like let's say when I'm connecting a database, so I can have like 101 tables. Okay, which table you want to connect? That is where object will come into the picture. Okay, so which table, which object you're planning to connect. Okay, so these are things that you will discuss in connector operation. Okay, so how do you filter the data? Okay, so in the connector operation, let's say I want to read some employee data from employee table. Okay, I want to filter the data, so I want to see only active employees data. So how do I filter the data before I'm reading like getting the data into Boomi? Let's say I have 1 lakh employee records. Obviously for business it is not required, right? So I don't want to pull all 1 lakh records and do some integration, so like some calculation in Boomi. So obviously like before it comes to Boomi, if I can filter, it will improve the performance of my integration platform. So obviously like how do you filter the data at connector operation level? Okay, now you have like a how and what, both connector and connector operation. Now you know like what you want to do with the connector. Now how the data is coming, okay, in which format. Okay, so this is where Boomi has like profiles. Okay, Boomi has 5 types of profiles. Okay, so the very first thing is XML. Okay, the next thing is flat file. Flat file is nothing but a comma separated file or tab delimited or star delimited, like comma delimited. So we'll have tab, we'll have star, it can be any delimited file. Okay, and we have database format, and we have EDA, which is nothing but business to business. I'll explain you in the classes anyway. So electronic data interchange, that's what we call. So typically we use in the business. Let's say like you are ordering some product in online. So how the data is transferring to a warehouse, that is where EDI will come into the picture. The third, last thing is JSON, JavaScript object notation. So this is similar to XML. This is like the data format. It defines the data format. Okay, yeah. So anybody has any questions here?
No, Pradeep.
Okay, so in this is where you discuss about the data, format of data, data structure, how the data is coming from source system, how you have to send the data to, like there are some systems which will accept only XML, there are some systems which will accept only flat files. So based on like what system is accepting, in the same format you may need to send the data. Okay, so that is where like we discuss about profiles. Now you know like what is the format of source and what is the target format, target system format. Now, so you have to map from source to destination. You have to transfer. Okay, how do you transfer the data? So using maps. Okay, map is a component in Boomi where you can map from source field to destination field. In source, I have first name and I have last name. Okay, in destination, in target system, I have first name and last name. So in the map component, you'll map first name to first name, last name to last name. So typically, like how do you migrate the data in database? So similarly, like we use like map shape. Okay, so and the next thing, transformations. So let's say I'm reading some data from database, Oracle database. I want to send to SQL Server. So in source, I have date format as DDMMYY. In destination, I want to send it as MMDDYY. I want to change the format. So obviously that is where the data transformation will come into the picture. Okay. So how do you do the transformations? Using map functions. Okay. And there is what like typically the basic things. And apart from that, if you want to build any business logic, okay, how do you define a business logic in Boomi? Using 20 components, whatever I told you. Okay, so using these 20 components, execute and logical components. Using these 20 components, so you develop any integration in Boomi. Okay, so this is what typically at high level. So when you go to any practical project, any like real-time project, this is what you may need to like understand and ask the questions to the customer. So they need to provide all this information. Okay, so once this is all belongs to build. Okay, so this is where you develop any integration. The next level, deploy. Okay, this is where we discuss about like how do you deploy into different environments and all. Okay, and here is where like we will discuss about
just one question here.
Yeah.
You mentioned map functions, so
Right.
Boomi provides standard functions to achieve
Yes.
the
Right.
functionalities. Okay.
Yes.
I assume that these functions can handle any type of functionality. What if we have very complex requirement? Can we
Right.
write those functions?
Yes, as I told you, like using Groovy or JavaScript, you can write event code as well. Okay, you can write your custom scripting. Let's say like if else condition if you want to build. So obviously like Boomi in the map function, within the map, you cannot like use a component. At the time you go for JavaScript. Like if employee status is active, so do this. If like let's say like source is coming up with like a true or false. Okay, employee is active status is true or false, but destination target system is accepting only zeros or ones. So obviously like using if else condition, you can like if the source is true, change it to 1. If the source is false, change it to 0. That's how like you can write even code as well.
So suppose I don't know Groovy, what is Groovy script, and I'm not good at JavaScript also.
Right. So obviously like it is just like, so obviously it is Boomi is a zero code tool. Okay, you shouldn't write any code. You can do like you can like build any business logic without code. So apart from that, like you just need to write if else conditions. Obviously if else conditions are not complex, right? So it is simple, right? So if you want to check if is active, double equal to true. So obviously like how do you handle this? And else, it is a simple code. So obviously only if else conditions we write. Otherwise like we will not write any code in code. Okay. So you have to handle like without code. That is where Boomi has been built. Okay. So there are some of the companies like if it is a very business like a complex business use case where like customer is asking you to write some code in Boomi, obviously you have to use some Groovy or Java. Okay, Groovy or Java both are same. So while writing, so obviously you have to use Java code. So at the time, so there is no way that you need to learn. So you'll get like sample codes, right? Obviously, like in Boomi community, you'll get the codes. Okay, so obviously you can use that and you can paste it in your component. That's it. Okay, but it's zero code, and as per the standards, you shouldn't write the code. Okay, so I have like done like 400, 500 odd integrations. Obviously, I never used a complex code where I have to spend like thousands of lines and all. Okay, it may be at the max 10 lines or so. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, coming back to this deployment, we will discuss about the environments. We will discuss about the runtime engine, which is called as Atom and Molecule. Okay. So Atom is nothing but kind of in Java how we have like a web server. So similarly, we have like Atom as a runtime engine, which will take care of your jobs and real-time integrations or logs, whatever it is. So it will take care of everything. Okay. So Atom you can install in only one server, but coming to Molecule, it is like a multi-node, multi-tenant system where you can install in multiple servers. Where like one of the server is down, it will take care of like the jobs from the next server, another server. Okay, it is a clustering mechanism typically. Okay, So based on how you pay the money to Boomi, they'll provide you these kind of access, atom or molecule. So cloud atom, cloud molecule and all. Okay. So once you deploy, obviously like the manage, under manage as I told you, we have atom management where you discuss about schedules, environment management. Okay.
Pradeep, I have a
So
question again.
yeah.
You mentioned that Atom is the engine where we can execute code, right? That is what
Execute
I
process
interpret.
integration. Yes. That is
Yeah.
where like on top of Atom, you will run your integration.
Okay. So you said Atom can be installed in one machine only.
Right. Yes.
In the very beginning, you said that it can be used and accessed from anywhere. So suppose I am accessing from some different location and I want to execute a code. How I will execute it? I
Yes.
mean run a
Let me.
process.
Right. Right. Let's say this is my code, right? So you can access this URL from anywhere. Let's say I want to like use this, like I want to run this job from my mobile. Okay. So if I want to run, like I have like a development server, I have production, I have UAT. Okay. So let's click on test. It will ask you like on which server you want to run the job. Okay. So dev or testing. So just select and run. So on top of that atom, it will run. That's it. You don't need to access that server and you don't need to deploy there and all. Okay. So everything is possible in the like website itself. You don't need
Wait.
to have
So
access.
so this Atom where we are executing this, which is visible here,
Right.
uh, it is installed in this machine, in your machine, or it is
Yes.
somewhere else.
So as of now, if you see this, this is installed in my machine. Okay. Let me show you a real-time example. Okay.
Okay, so whatever atoms are visible here for deployment, they all are installed on your machine. Is it
No,
like
no,
that?
no, no. This test atom cloud, it is installed in some data center. Even I don't know where it is installed and where it is like available physically.
Okay. So
Okay.
if I
So
want to,
let me
yeah,
let me complete. This is my real-time example. Okay, a real-time project where I have developed. Okay. So when I want to test something, okay, click on test. Okay. So it will ask you to it will ask to run on which atom that you want to run. Okay. Production or UAT. This production has been installed in somewhere in like US server. Okay, data center. Okay, I don't have even access to that server. Okay, so customer installed that atom in their local data center, and so they have like attached to this like account, so Tenet healthcare account. Okay, but still when I'm testing, I'm using this atom, so I'm telling Boomi to run this job on top of production server. Okay.
okay, yeah,
So in this case, obviously I don't have a data center, right? So obviously I need to have some testing environment where I can show you something working prototype. So at the time, so I made my laptop as a server. I have installed Atom in my local machine and I am doing my testing.
okay,
Okay?
yeah,
Any question?
no. So I can install Atom in any machine, it
Yeah, you
means.
can install Atom in any machine. So that is where like, so there are some of the customers, they'll give you like a physical server. So where they'll ask you to set up environment in the physical server. Okay. So just install Atom and make it as development server. Okay. Some customers, they have like a huge, they can spend a lot of money. So they'll say like, there is my data center, there is a physical server, virtual server. So there is access, like remote desktop access. So you just install. So at the time, so you'll take a virtual machine, virtual server, and you'll install that. You don't know like where exactly it is, right? And like
Yeah,
this is the admin job, installation and all. Obviously, admins will do, and you may not even have access to those servers. So they'll just set up the environment, and as a developer, you need to develop. That's it. So obviously, it is like a crucial data and like secure data. Obviously, they may not give you access as a developer. So maybe team leads and tech leads and architects, they'll have access where they'll manage all those things. As a developer, you may not have access to even server as well.
okay.
So here, so as I told you, like in manage, so we will discuss about data management, whether you want to schedule, you want to stop the schedules, how do you manage all those things, and the environment management again. So you can manage these atoms and molecules, everything here, data management, okay? And the next thing is process reporting. This is where you see all the logs, okay? So logs, debugging, okay, you can discuss about monitoring, okay, so how my jobs are working, so how much data it is getting from source, how many records it is sending to destination, so is there any errors, what is the error message, everything you can see in process reporting page, okay. So this is what typically we will discuss in our classes. So it will take about like 15 days like to discuss all these. Like I'm not exactly sure whether you received any course content and the course plan. Okay, so I have about 15 days of plan. So each and every day we will discuss about a typical topic and we will do some practice in the class. And we will do like a disconnector. We will test like we will create integrations on top of Salesforce on top of disconnector, and apart from that we discuss about like success factors integration, so how it is working. So and other systems, it is like really like paid connectors, obviously like you cannot test anything like commercial tools. Like if I want to create a NetSuite account, obviously it's a commercial tool, I need to pay the money. Obviously in classes, obviously you cannot test all those things, but typically I'll show you like how to connect those systems, how do you generate like connector operations, how the data will transfer, all those things we discuss. But like for testing sake or for practice, we use mostly disconnector and Salesforce, okay.
Okay. Pradeep, one more question
Yeah,
regarding the features provided by Dell Boomi. Do we
right.
have any exception handling?
Ye- yes,
I mean,
so Boomi has a exception handling that is part of components. We have a component called try catch, where it will catch all the exceptions and it will send to a cache block, and where you need to handle like whether you want to send a notification, you want to save it in some file. So it matters based on the customer requirements again.
okay. Can you quickly show if we have implemented this in any of the process?
Yeah, so
Uh,
almost as per the standards we have to implement in all the integrations, okay. So if you see here,
okay.
so let's say I have like I'm connecting here a database, okay, and saving it to some cache, saving the data into
Okay.
cache. So if it is not connecting, if database connectivity is failed, so I have used a try cache where I am handling here. It is creating some message. If I want to send some notification, I can send here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is as per the standard. You have to use try cache block in all your integrations for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. Regarding the classes, how much theory and how much hands-on we can expect? I mean, like you're saying,
Yes.
sometimes we can. Yeah.
So typically like within a week you'll understand what is Boomi and you can start the practice. Okay. So it will be about like 60% of theory and 40% into like the development. Okay, practice. And apart from that, like obviously like within a week you can start the practice. I'll give about like we will do 6 use cases in our classes, and apart from that like I'll give you some complex use cases where you may need to practice and come back with the questions, so that like on the next day so we will test, so whether like it is as per the standards, are you facing any challenges, any questions, whether it is working or not, everything we'll verify in the next class. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it is very simple. Boomi is very simple, as you know, like PA already. So obviously Boomi is very simple. So within a week you'll understand what is Boomi and you can start even doing some practice as well. And for you Sureka, so even so as it is a zero code and as you have done some migration tasks, so it is like you'll understand even better like how this middleware comes into the picture when you do some migrations and all. And as it is on the cloud, so it is like you don't need to install anything for the development, and it is easy to learn.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, Banu or Sureka?
We'll
Let
have
me.
class.
Yeah, but continue.
We'll have classes daily, right?
Yes. So like it is 5 days class a week, so Saturday and Sunday typically I'll not take, but if you guys want any weekend, so we can take a class, it's not a problem. And apart from that, I'll be available in Skype and phone, so whenever you have some technical challenges, let's say if I give a use case, if you are unable to if you are facing some challenge, you can ping me on Skype, I'll be available, and then we can get into a call, and we can see whether we can fix if there are any issues, any challenges, so that we can save a lot of time. Okay.
Okay. Daily it will be 1 hour, 1.5 hour. How much?
Yeah, it will be one. So initially it will be 1 hour, but so up to some classes it will be 1 hour, because initially if I teach more, obviously it will be kick and Latin. You may not be able to understand everything. So and after 4 or 5 classes, we will go with the 1.5 hour class.
Okay. So where are you located at? Actually, I am from Hyderabad.
I'm from Bangalore. I'm from Bangalore actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm basically from Hyderabad, but I'm working in Bangalore.
Okay.
So how about you, Sureka? So you're asking some question.
Yeah, Pradeep. I was just trying to check if there are any certifications or.
Yes, yes. So in Boomi, we have two certificates, developer 1 and developer 2. It will cost you developer 1 will cost you about $400, and developer 2 will cost you about $50. So you can write both together also. Okay, you just pay $650, and the first exam you'll have a practical exam, a theoretical exam, 2 exams, and even in the second one also the same thing, 1 practical and 1 theoretical. And if you club together, it will be 3 exams, 1 practical and 2 1 theoretical and 2 practical.
Okay.
Okay, so and even once we finish, I'll explain you how many questions you get. So you'll have 3 hours of time to write any exam. And for sure, if you want to get a job on Boomi, so it is better to have certification as well. So otherwise, it's no companies are looking for a Boomi developer. So every company is looking for certified Boomi developer.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So because even they are cross-verifying with the Boomi. So because there are a lot of fake profiles in the market, so even companies started cross-verifying whether certification is genuine or not. So that is where it became. And you can write this exam from anywhere. You don't need to go to some authorized center. So you just write register in online, pay today, and you'll have 30 days of time, and you'll have 2 chances. You can write from your home. Obviously that's better. So they're planning to move to authorized centers. It may take some time, 4 or 5 months, but before that, if you can finish everything, so obviously you'll be lucky.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, but do you have any questions?
No, Pradeep.
Yeah. Anything else, Sureka or Banu?
What time are you planning to have classes?
So it's based on your convenience. So whether you want to have it in morning times or evening times. I just started a batch in the morning, so we just finished 1 class. If anybody wants to join in the morning class, so feel free. So it's open.
Okay. It will be continuous
So
for
how about
3
your?
weeks, right?
Yes, 3
3
weeks
weeks class.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So morning 10 o'clock.